Good evening. Welcome to the workshop session of the Mayor and City Council of the City of College Park. I'm Mayor Bianca Motley Broom. We have a quorum present with council members McKenzie, Karn, and Arnold, so we'll go ahead and get started.
First item on the agenda is Veterans Day recognition discussion. This item is sponsored by Councilwoman Tracy Arnold.
Councilmember Arnold?
Thank you. This item that I wanted us to talk about is regarding Veterans Day. Last year, we had the opportunity to recognize veterans by adopting a proclamation making the city of College Park a Purple Heart City. And I would like for us to continue to build on that momentum by actually recognizing Veterans Day as a formal holiday in the city of College Park. And so it's just for us now to have a discussion. It is an item that is on our regular agenda.
All right. Is there any discussion? I think the agenda item indicated that there was no cost, and I think even if we have a day off, there is some cost to the city for it. And I'm just curious about that. I'm fully supportive of the idea, but just what that impact is for all the employees to have the day off. Madam City Manager, do you have any sense of that?
I do not. I will have HR.
I do.
Councilmember
generally,
Carr, go ahead.
Obviously, if it's a paid holiday, then obviously there's an expense to the city. Generally, we run around $70,000-$80,000 for everybody off. I know that's what we used to run when we were about staffed the same. We had the vacancies and whatnot, but I know we used to be somewhere around there. Now we've given several raises since then, so if we round it up to about $100,000, in Fulton County, I added Juneteenth, it was a little bit over $1 million. Obviously, I had 5,000 employees then, but yeah. So we're right in there.
So I don't know that answers the question, because if we were doing that in the past with pay raises and fluctuations in staff, I'm not sure that we've got much of a ballpark, but if that information could be supplied at some point, that'd be helpful.
We should have it in about 15, 20 minutes.
All right, great. Excellent. All right. Councilmember Carr?
Now, we also, I know and obviously we want to look out for our veterans and recognize them. Veterans Day is as important or just as important as Memorial Day, which we do recognize. We did the birthday holiday. How has that been working out? It was a birthday or selected date, I believe, that we had added additionally as well. And by the way, we're one of the only cities in the region that have a birthday paid holiday. So that was something that I insisted on. I think, was it earlier this year or last year? I'm not sure, but I'd like to know how that was working out. If everyone's taking that day, I would imagine they are.
Madam City Manager?
I will have staff to provide you with the answer tomorrow as far as the birthday holidays.
All right, any further discussion?
At some point,
Councilmember Carr?
I thought I saw in here we were going to look at holidays just in general, right? Is that in the regular session?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Is that right, City Manager? Okay.
Yeah, if you would address things to me as the chair, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, I was asking the City Manager.
I know, but in parliamentary procedure, you address the chair, so thank you.
All right, well, yeah. Okay, because I wanted to know if we still had Columbus Day on the calendar, on the holiday calendar or not.
It is not.
We swapped that out for, was that the swap out for Juneteenth? Or did we ever have it? Yeah, I don't remember if we ever have it. In Fulton County, I swapped out Columbus Day for Juneteenth as a countywide paid holiday at the same meeting, actually. Yeah, we didn't do that though, but, okay. All right, well, we'll see them when they come up at the regular session, I guess. All right.
All right, any further discussion? All right, we'll move forward to item 2.
Item 2 is this memorandum outlines proposed assistance strategies for College Park Utilities customers who are directly impacted by the federal government shutdown. These measures are designed to provide short-term financial relief and connect customers with supportive resources while ensuring the city maintains fiscal responsibility. This item is being requested by Cynthia Hammond, Finance Director, and William Scott, Utilities Customer Service Manager. Cost not determined for the non-budgeted item. This item will service all wards.
Good evening, Mr. Scott.
Good evening.
Go right ahead.
Well, we noticed a lot of businesses, banks, and other municipalities, they were taking a preemptive approach to, helping their customers and citizens. So we wanted to put something out to at least start the discussion to see if we can do the same.
So could you outline the memorandum just for those who may be watching?
Yes. One of the first proposals, definitely waiving of late fees and take a more liberal stance with that. Flexibility in payment arrangements. Hopefully this won't last forever, but to help bridge the gap with the payment arrangement. Utilization of current assistance programs, things that we already have in place, maybe to target more and appropriate more for the federal government individuals. And then community partnerships. These are things that maybe we can get more guidance from the mayor and council to have, give us some guidance and leadership on that. And then the last one is counseling and resource support. Some of these people are people that have been paid well over the years and may have never experienced something like this. And maybe have the staff to start formulating a resource list, so at least they'll have something for reference to reach out for certain things that maybe they've never had to do in their life.
And so this is exclusively for people who are employed by the federal government and impacted by the shutdown, or?
At the time, we did that, but now the SNAP, that's something else. So that's another need, maybe another lane with the food. So it just, if we could just propose it so we can discuss it and maybe come up with the most robust program that we can to reach out, that was our goal.
Understood. Anyone have any discussion?
Yes, I do.
Mayor Pro Tem?
First of all, I just want to thank you. It's kind of interesting because when I went to legal review on Wednesday, that was my discussion to see what we could do, what our response would be, and of course the city manager said you had already on it. And so I appreciate this, and I do believe as a city we do need to offer these types of services to our residents. And so basically my question was even then is, are we looking at some type of an application process? I mean, how do we, we can put the information out to people, but there needs to be some type of procedure for them, or a form for them to fill out. So I guess we'd like us to move forward with that.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem. The idea was to bring this before you and then to go back and bring a process, put a process in place, provide you with the draft of the process, and then proceed.
Okay. Definitely would like to see that, and it's very unfortunate that we did not contract as a city with Ignite, because when I ran Ignite Resource Center back starting in 2019, this is exactly what we did. We provided those services, and Ignite was doing that until last year. So the only thing, Ignite would have helped people with assistance programs, community partnerships, and the resource and counseling support. And I guess the unfortunate thing is that now, as a city, we have to do that and get our employees to do it, but it would have been great to have contracted with an organization and had those services in place for situations like this. But I am glad that we're doing it, and I would just like to see, as the city manager said, just to let us know, I'm totally in favor of it, and I want to thank our staff for having the forethought and to consider those who might be really facing some challenges in every way. So I just wanted to say thank you.
All right. Councilmember Carn, did you have anything?
Well, you know, they're running a strange program on the federal level. It's, things are getting really tight. And combine that with the holidays coming up, again, you know, our objective and my first priority is putting our residents first and accommodating them in whatever way that we can, in any way that we can, while still being physically responsible. So, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, tremendously farsighted.
Anything else? Councilmember, anything else?
No.
All right. Councilmember Arnold?
Thank you, Mrs. Scott. Thank you to both you and Ms. Hammond for putting this proposal together and presenting it to us.
All right. Councilmember Gay?
No question.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Thank you.
Mayor, we do
Madam
have
City
an
Manager?
answer for you regarding the Veterans Day and the cost.
Good evening, Ms. Gilbert.
Evening.
For one day, paid holiday would be $112,000.
All right. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. I do have something. I just
Mayor
want to
Pro Tem, would
I
you like
want to
speak?
thank
Go right
you
ahead.
for being here today. I know that you've had some things going on in your life. I'm surprised to see you, but you know our prayers are with you, and truly appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
I appreciate you too. I wasn't aware over the weekend actually, but I appreciate you hanging in there with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you
Gilbert.
again.
Next agenda item is discussion regarding current salaries of police and fire department employees for certified and non-certified. This item will be presented by Krista Gilbert, Interim Director of Human Resources and Risk Management, and Cynthia Hammond, Interim Finance Director.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Oh, yeah, this is just what I was looking for. Okay.
Good evening, good evening.
Good evening.
We were tasked with looking at College Park Police and Fire salaries and some of our neighboring jurisdictions. We found, although this body, some of the members of this body was generous back in 2022, and they gave a significant 20% raise. But as with everything, times are continuously changed, and if you look at your sheet there and look at the numbers, we're kind of falling behind. Me as the chief of the police department, we are tasked with we have a great task of maintaining the safety of the city. Fortunately, I have lost some officers to other jurisdictions because of salary. One in particular is a sergeant. The sergeant is a supervisory rank here. As a supervisor, he elected to leave and go to another agency as a police officer because he was walking in the door making $83,000. We've lost to ICE. We can't, as a city, I'm not asking you to give what ICE is doing. We know that it's not feasible. They're offering $50,000 bonuses with a starting salary around $71,000, $73,000. So it's in, we push forth all the things with pension, and you know, y'all was gracious to allow the take-home vehicles, which helped because every other agency was doing that. But this day and time, I don't like to use the word millennium, but the young people that we see coming into the profession, they are not like you or I when they started. They're not thinking about pension. I had an officer leave to go another police department for an additional $4,000. And I actually had a conversation with him. I said, after taxes, you're looking at $40,000 or $60,000 more every pay period. And his response, Chief, that's $40, $60 more than what I have now. So this is kind of some of the struggles within the police department that we're dealing with. My suggestion would be East Point, our neighboring city, their base salary is $58,500. That would be for an uncertified officer. Once they complete the academy, which is a lot longer now, and once they have completed their probationary period, my recommendation would be that they all move up to $62,500.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As Chief Rogers said, we kind of still have that same fight, because if you look at the hiring pool, we're pulling from the same resources. So as you start to look at our neighboring jurisdictions, they're competitive. They're offering signing bonuses. They're offering incentives. All those things we have to kind of compete with. Base is just base salary. And as you say, Chief Rogers said, retirement doesn't have the same incentive as it does for us, because you're asking young millennials to look 30 years downstream and say, okay, this is what you're going to get when you retire. That doesn't have the same appeal to a 21-year-old as does to someone that comes on a little bit later in age. So those are things, we just looked at some comparative salaries, and as you see, there's especially going from the uncertified to the certified, the gap is starting to spread. Now you start to add on signing bonuses for advanced EMTs and paramedics. Those gaps go from all the way up to $71,000. So when you start to look at that, it's hard to pull people in, because that lure is always there, especially if they live closer to that area, that jurisdiction. That's just another incentive for them to kind of move in that direction, excuse me. So those are the fights we're having. So it's always it's a fight match. You know, we just kind of trying to pull in and make people realize that this is a place where they need to be, but the lure's not there. The lure's kind of, it's like the fix me now, what I want right now, so it doesn't have the same lasting strength as it used to have.
Yes,
All right. Mayor
yes.
Pro Tem?
I wasn't on this council in 2022, but I was one of those folks that was standing right where you are and arguing for an increase, and I was glad that the council did it. But that was 3 years ago. We're in a whole different place right now. And I want to thank you for providing us with this information, because, you know, I'm still a chaplain, but just not here in College Park. And it just bothers me, because I see how hard our fire and our police work. And you put your lives on the line. When we're running away, you're running into. And so we truly appreciate you for your service. I think one of the most troubling things for me when I look at this schedule right now for our salaries is that there's really no difference between an uncertified and a certified salary
There is not.
in the PD. And then when we look at even the base salary and the certified the new base salary, I guess, for the police, for the fire, is the same as the certified. I do see that our paramedics that are certified are in the 61,000 range. But and then we do have these 16 open positions. But I think more important, we have those 16 frozen positions. So what I'd like to see, I'd like to propose no less than a 6% raise for those that are currently at the base salary uncertified, which would take them to about $58,000, which would be commensurate with East Point, Chief. I'm in agreement with you. And then a 10%, no less than a 10% raise or increase for those that are certified. I think that puts us at least in a competitive market. I remember in 2022, it was said that we are never going to win the salary war, but we definitely don't want to be at the bottom of the totem pole in this particular area.
And it wouldn't affect everybody. It will only affect those officers who are below those salaries that you're talking about.
Okay.
So we're not talking about the whole force getting a 6% or a 10% raise. If an officer, sergeant, whomever, if they fall below, those are the only individuals that would be affected.
So what I'd like to see, City Manager.
I would like to add, Mayor Pro Tem and Council, that we currently have an RFP out for a pay assessment study. However, as you know, that can take up to 6 to 8 months to have it awarded, to have them come in, do the assessment and the background. Right now, we're living in a very peculiar time, and I do think that this is something that we must look at.
Yeah, and I just wanted to continue. Thank you, City Manager, because you just kind of fueled me with some more fire on this. I think that what I'd like to see, I guess, is since we've had the frozen positions or the open positions, in terms of our budget right now, what is our savings? Meaning, what have we not spent over these, we're almost 6 months into
Yeah,
this year.
And we had got it down, the 16 that's currently open, we had got it down to 6. But we had a few for disciplinary issues that weren't a good fit with the police department anymore, so we had to do away with, and officers leaving for other agencies as well. So it's background and recruitment. I have to give my background and recruitment staff. We do have 2 that will come before you this evening that we did hire the month of October. We have another guy we hired who will start on November 5th. So they're actively working. The job fair that was this past weekend, we got a great we got a great turnout from that. So we're constantly working. We realize, and I put a lot of pressure on my background and recruitment because I don't want to run the guys and girls so much because they're asked with a tremendous task in here in College Park for the amount that they're making. And, you know, I hope they're not listening. They can go elsewhere. You have a less call volume and you can make more money.
Yeah.
So the ones that are here, they're loyal to College Park. So, and I want to keep that as much as I possibly can.
And I want to give someone else a chance, but to speak up here. But I would definitely like to see what it would cost to get our officers that are currently not at that place. And as city manager said, we really can't wait 6 to 8 months for that salary. And I mean, when I'm saying officers, firefighters as well, to get everyone to a more livable wage, because even in terms of livable wage, this is concerning. So, and then the last thing I want to say is, we do need to get the money there, but money isn't everything as well. I think that we also want to look at some incentive programs that we can provide for our officers, in addition to an increase that can give them, you know, the oomph to want to stay in College Park. And I see an officer shaking his head up and down. I'm not going to say his name. But so I would like to see that as well. Maybe our human resources, or whatever we need to do, bring someone in to help us to determine what is it that we need to do as a city to retain our officers and our firefighters.
Yeah, Council, if I could interject something. You think about the last pay raise we had, look at the economy from there. Look at the cost of rent going up, cost of mortgage going up, cost of cars and vehicles going up. So that raise it felt then, but all of a sudden you look at 3 years later, that raise doesn't have the same appeal because we just couldn't keep up with inflation. So we're just trying to kind of balance it out a little bit, and so we can kind of stay competitive with the market.
You're preaching to the choir.
I mean, just over getting this thing today, I got a resignation yesterday. You know, and so that's what we're fighting. So these numbers are changing daily and hourly. So we're trying to get on top of it so we can kind of make people kind of think twice about leaving and going somewhere else.
Councilmember Carter?
All right. Chief, well, both chiefs, thank y'all so much for coming out. And we needed to have this discussion. As you all remember, in '22, I spoke to you and a lot of our officers and firefighters as well about a salary raise and increase. And I pushed and insisted that we do it immediately. A former city manager, Ms. Tyus, she recommended a 5% increase, and then another 5 or so, 6 months from then. And I said, absolutely not. That's not gonna turn the trick. The fire chief, what are your salary adjustment recommendations for where you are?
Yeah, I think if we look at comparative, we just kind of want to be right there. I don't have any comparative figures right now, but I wanted to give you an overview of what our neighboring departments were doing.
Right.
So at least we can kind of slide up and start to get in that pocket. I know the other municipalities, we can never kind of hit to those thresholds,
Right.
but I think if we can come up and be somewhat competitive with those salaries,
Yeah.
I think it'll especially by the seniority and longevity folks are here now in the tenure. I think it'll kind of put us in a stronger position for people to have less than 5 years on the job. We can kind of bring those salaries up and to make them think twice about going to another jurisdiction because they wouldn't have to start over instead of just coming up a little bit.
And the biggest thing we try to push is once you get an officer vetted, and sometimes that doesn't work, but usually once they get vetted, and that's 5 years, 80% chance that they're going to be here because you don't want to start over at another agency. But and I can only speak, and I'm sure the fire chief as well, we lose that been there 2 years to 5 year gap. That's what we're losing. And the money to send them to school, the money to train them, and the amount of activity that we have here. An officer with 2 years experience, you have experienced so much. You've done numerous of Georgia code as far as crime. So you take all this experience and you get it in your resume, and you go up to another agency and they see you've conducted this, and this. They jumping on you because you coming in the door with a lot more experience than some of their senior officers. So we're trying to find a happy medium to keep that gap between 2 years and 5 years here in College Park, because once they hit that 5 year mark, we're pretty safe unless something, a great position just comes up, that we have them then.
Well, we want to make sure we help them reach that 5 year mark. I was a proponent then. Obviously, I'm a proponent now to making sure that we keep our good officers and good firefighters. Chief Rogers, what percentage of the force would receive a theoretical 6% raise, ballpark?
Probably between 10 and 12%.
10 and 12?
Because this is only our new officers who come maybe within the last year or 2 years. So I can have the exact number in the morning who, with the Mayor Pro Tem's recommendation, if we did the 6%, how many officers would be affected, how many officers we currently have who are not at the 62.5 with the 10%, what that would be. I can have that all information, but just in my mind and just thinking, that may be 10, 12% of
10
the
to 12,
force.
got it. And, that vote we did in 22, again, I insisted on it. That simply brought us up to par, basically. So we still got a little ways to go. We also want to encourage, if we're going to do these rate increases, salary increases, we've really got to stress and encourage them to move within the city limits. That's very, 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 very important. It's not just for the convenience of the officers and firefighters, but traditionally, some of the safest cities in the ARC region are those with officers and fire personnel who live within their cities.
Now, one of the things we do with our in recruitment, we push the utility credit. A lot of officers I'm seeing now, they're buying homes. Yeah, they'll come work, but if they have a home in Marietta, they're not gonna sell their home to come here for a $400 utility credit. I'm just gonna be totally honest.
Understandable.
I'm gonna just be
Yeah.
totally honest. But we do push that, and we have gotten some officers who don't have a home, who maybe moved from out of state to Georgia, that they do reside here in the city.
Okay, and Chief, especially for our new recruits in terms of fire, I always tell the young kids around here that fire department is one of the few positions that you could get into literally with no college education.
Correct.
Getting to at 18, 19 years old and come in north of $50,000, and it's a pretty secure job. Obviously, I don't think the fire department's ever going to play out or be unnecessary. So,
We hope
yeah.
not. Yeah, I think Chief Rogers hit it right on the head. Our sweet spot is between that 2 and 5 years, because that's, when you get to the 2 year mark, that's usually when the certification, full certification kick in, and like the breadth of experience you get from being here. For a city this size, we have some stuff happening. I mean, we have a good call volume, we have a variety of calls, expressways. I mean, there's so much going on in the city this size, it's amazing. and you compare that to another jurisdiction, they're not even close to us. So we have to kind of look at that between that sweet spot for the 2 and 5 years. So we just have to kind of address that.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it for me.
All right, Councilmember Arnold?
Thank you. So I have a couple of things that I would like to also add to the list as ideas to consider. I see that we have, or there is something on this report in reference to signing bonuses, and I don't know whether or not if we do signing
We
bonuses.
do not.
But, I mean, that is always a carrot. But we should also consider retention pay, retention bonuses, right? So that we don't lose those that are our best and brightest within that window. So, and that's something that we could implement like immediately.
I actually had a retention incentive that I posed with a former city manager, so I will redact it, and then I will send it over to the city manager for her to look at.
And one more item in reference to housing. I brought this up last year, and so I'm going to bring it back as a thought, which we talk about, wanting to have individuals that work for the city to live within the city, and we do provide the credit as far as utilities are concerned. And I said the same thing that someone else just said a few minutes ago. You mentioned if someone has a house somewhere else, of course, that utility credit means nothing. But a housing credit would. Mm-hmm. And so I think that we should seriously consider providing some type of housing credit for employees that work for the city that are willing to live in the city of College Park. So I'm gonna lay that back on the table again.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll look at that.
Councilmember Gay?
Okay, guys, I have a couple of things. I think everyone provided really good information for you all to consider, but a couple of things. When I look at this data, it will help if you bring back how many vacancies each one of these cities have.
Okay.
I would like to compare that. Secondly, it's just worth mentioning that we do have a policy that any officers that we paid for training and they left by a certain time, that they have to pay us back.
That's in effect,
Okay.
but it's only for 2 years.
In
And
2
you
years.
right at their 2-year anniversary is
Sure.
when we seeing them walk out the door.
To Councilwoman's honor point, there was a program that gave down payment assistance that was implemented through economic development. There was a lot of conversation about that. I don't know what happened to that program. I will tell you that we also asked HR to give us exit surveys. So with your 18 officers that has departed, we don't have a clue as to why. It could be more than salary. It could be morale. It could be shifts being short-staffed. So we should start, Ms. Director, to start getting an exit interview from these folks when they leave, and we can learn from that, okay? I don't have a problem with the raise, but I do think when you give one group raise, you're gonna alienate your other members. So we gotta look at a raise that don't get the other departments concerning. And it's worth mentioning, it's on the agenda tonight, $800,000 for cars. Was that on this agenda, or was that last month?
No, it's on the
It's on
agenda.
this.
Oh, okay, that's all I have.
It's on the agenda.
You know, there's,
Councilmember Card?
well, what's to prevent us from extending that 2-year training clawback?
Then you're gonna fall into officers may not wanna come here because then you putting them in a longer contract.
So is 3 years gonna be
It's
a
at
big
2
enough
years.
turnoff, you think, or?
I believe so, because, I've been doing this 24 years. Some agencies, including us, when you allow for individuals to go to train, if it's a certain amount, they have to agree to stay another year. I've had officers turn down to go to training because they don't want to be boxed into a contract. So you're asking somebody 3 years. I believe that's a bit much.
Well, I mean, you got some give and take. I mean, if we approve this size raise of 6%, Does that give us a little more latitude? Is it the same with your offices where a 3-year would be a non-starter, or do you think with a raise?
For the police
Yeah.
department, it's a Georgia law
Gotcha.
mandated by Georgia Post. So
Okay, so it
it's the
doesn't apply.
24 months. So if we,
Okay.
that would have to come from Post.
Gotcha, okay, all right.
And I don't believe we have such a law there, so it's kind of almost a gentleman's agreement as far as payment back. So I think you still have to think, if you just look at the pay, the rest of the stuff, you can we can work out. I mean, we can work on morale stuff, because we're trying to change some culture things around here. But I think if you look at comparative, if someone's dangling that carrot over here, it's only so much as a department head we can do to kind of combat that, because that lure is always there, especially looking at the higher salaries in other departments. I'm not sure how they can pay that, but it's like, wow, if you make me think about it, especially somebody that's new paramedic and they're the new department, that's a hard turn down to come here for that, so.
Well, I think a pay raise will help
Yeah,
keep them
I think
here
so.
beyond that 2 years altogether, so, all right.
I have something, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem?
And just to kind of piggyback on it, since we have to stick with the 24-month, that's where the retention bonus would come in. I think if we can get that retention bonus for somebody as early as, they make it through that 24 months, that could encourage them to stay on. So I would be interested to see
And I
that.
think in my previous proposal, for every year after, and it wasn't significant, a $500 bonus at their anniversary, at their hiring anniversary. So every hiring anniversary, an additional 500. 500 is 500, so that may be a track just to get people to kind of stay still.
Yeah, and my feeling is if we can make this work, let's make it work.
Councilmember Arnold?
I have one more question. In reference to the bonuses, when we do bonuses, do they become a part of the base, or is it just a one-time payment?
It's a one-time payment.
What I was going to say is it just depends on the way that you voted in. Bonuses are generally just a one-time, but if you want us to add it to their, like give them extra 500 on their base, then it will be, but it's a matter of the way you voted.
So I think that the exercise in coming back with the amounts should include a one-time versus a permanent bump to the base.
I think these are all really good suggestions in regard to what are, in terms of the additional things that we can do to incentivize retention. Why don't we have focus groups? Why don't we ask our police and fire what they think? Why don't we just ask them? I mean, they probably have ideas about how we can go about incentivizing them to stay. I mean, money aside, I think they're probably the best experts in the room. They understand the ins and outs far better than any of us do. But I also think there's an opportunity in regard to one of Councilmember Arnold's areas of keen interest in AI, in regard to taking a look at some of these salaries and how we might be able to not only look just at police and fire, but also the rest of our staff. I think Councilmember Gay is correct in his assessment that once we start talking about raising salaries for one group of employees, we will hear about it from other employees. It is natural, and if I were in that boat, I would do the same thing. So, not to completely short circuit the study that may occur. I think that we can probably do some things with artificial intelligence to help us get ahead of the curve, or at least catch up to the curve. And I guess that's it for the workshop session.
Mayor, I have something, just an announcement.
Mayor Pro Tem?
We have several proclamations that are to be given out at the 7:30 service that have not, service, I feel like I'm in church, 7:30 meeting that have not been signed. So I am asking that if everybody would please get those signed
So we will see everybody at 7:30 for our regular meeting.